Ladies and gentlemen, you are once again in tune with The Caiman Show. You can find us on Twitter at The Caiman Show. You can find us on Facebook, The Caiman Show. You can find us anywhere you like, hashtag The Caiman Show. Or you can email the show, caimanshow69@gmail.com. Let's get it on. Yeah, so I'm here with Jerry, not your real name. So Jerry, I understand you were you claimed you were abducted by extraterrestrial life forms. Can you just tell us what happened in your own words, just so we can come to our own conclusions on this?
Yes, that is correct. Actually, it was just after I received the COVID vaccine. Unfortunately, I went to pretend to have it done.
Yeah, okay, good. So tell us what happened. Okay, so you had the vaccine.
Yes.
What happened from there? So you're not. Can I just clarify? You're not. It's circumstantial that you've just gone for the vaccine. You're not saying that it's anything to do with the vaccine, no?
No. Well,
in your own words.
Yeah. So, I had the vaccine done. On the way home from Bertrand, obviously, it's a long old ride on the M4 and whatnot.
Yeah.
Plenty of bridges drive under. And all of a sudden, I just found myself gone. I wasn't on the M4 anymore. I don't believe I was in Wales anymore. I could have been in England from some of the people I was seeing, but they didn't look human to me at all. Okay,
so Jerry, do us a favour for everyone listening out there. Obviously, we're taking this serious, but it's quite, with respect, it's quite an outlandish statement to be making that this has happened. Okay, so let's just.
Well, I think so.
No, I'm not doubting you. I'm not doubting you for a second. This is what it's all about. We just want to get your take on it. So can you just tell us, first of all, in your mind, you say they didn't look human. What did they look like? Where were you? What were your surroundings? Was the car with you at the time as well, or were you taken from the car? Just talk us through it. What did they look like, first of all?
Well, just a bit like me and you, so they look humanish, but not human. They were a lot uglier than most people you see around. Sort of.
In what respect? Big noses, turns in their eyes, dribbling. Yeah. What? Yeah.
Bigger facial features. Sort of a lot skinnier build than what a normal person would look like. Not necessarily a taller creature, but just much more fragile looking, much skinnier.
Okay, right.
They had like different hairstyles, like you and me. Very sort of pale people. There was ginger ones, black-haired ones, blonde ones, bald ones.
Yeah, were they clothed?
Yeah, they were clothed.
Ordinary clothing or specialist alien clothing, or what? Was it the same sort of things that people would wear? Did they blend in with society in their clothing?
No. Well, they had sort of I wouldn't call it a uniform, but they were all wearing a very similar kind of outfit, which was a sort of a beige, creamy colour.
Mm.
It wasn't like overalls as such. It was a top and bottoms. But then they were wearing flip-flops, which for this time of year is quite outrageous.
Yeah, I hear you. But what was it they wanted? Did they speak to you? Did they communicate with you? Did they do anything to you? Were they, were they sinister in any way?
Well, it was just they could talk to each other. They could communicate. I couldn't understand what they were saying.
Mm.
It sounded like a foreign language, if you could say that.
Okay.
But then the one guy touched me on the arm.
Yeah.
And sort of not harm me, but pull me with them to go and show me something.
Yeah.
But then since then, I've had sort of like, it's not a bruise and it's not a tattoo, but it's an outline of that sort of hand on my arm now that seems to be staying there. And like,
Yeah.
not as sort of dense as a bruise or a tattoo, but it's sort of if you have a heavy sleep on the pillow and then you wake up and the imprint of the pillow is...
Yeah, the creases on your face sort of thing. Yeah. So what do their hands, were their hands the same as our hands? Or were their hands, did they have like 3 fingers instead of 4? Or what's the situation there?
Yeah, they just, well, same as ours really, but I don't know if it was a long thumb or just an extra finger, but
yeah,
it was 5 digits and they all seemed to be finger-like rather than a thumb.
Okay, and just to clarify, that it's often drummed into us that there's this generalization of aliens being little green men. That wasn't the case, no?
No, definitely not.
Okay. And how long, if you have any concept of time there, Jerry, how long were you among them?
Well, when I went, it was light, and then while I was with them, it was light.
Yeah.
By the time I found myself back in my car on the road, it was complete darkness. The street lights were on. It felt like I was probably with them for a matter of minutes, but clearly not in our time.
So you say you found yourself back in the car. How did that happen? How did it happen in your head? How did it happen? Was the car moving when you were back in it, or was it pulled over, or what?
Well, when I was with them, I wasn't in the car. We were outside. The car was there in the background. But then when I found myself back in the car and I was pulled over at the petrol station, I hadn't put petrol in as far as I was aware. The gauge was still the same. I hadn't bought anything, but I was parked over where you would pump up your tyres, really, were there.
Fantastic stuff. Fantastic. So have you, is there any ongoing effect of this? Obviously, it's going to affect you mentally. Have you told anyone? Have you publicly told anyone? Obviously, this isn't your real name, so I'm assuming you don't want to go public as yourself with it. But have you contacted anyone else about it at all?
No, I've spoken to sort of family and friends.
And what do they think?
Just you're having a laugh. You're winding us up. Stuff like that ain't true. You've watched Men in Black 120 times. I've tried speaking to my doctor about it.
And what did he or she say?
She didn't seem to, wasn't fazed by it at all, but didn't say I was lying, just told me to maybe relax a bit, go home, try and sleep, get back into a sort of a routine. Suggested maybe I could have been feeling a bit under the weather from the vaccine, and that could have been having an effect on me.
And do you think there's a possibility that's what it could be?
No, definitely not. What I witnessed and what I went through wasn't sort of a psychological effect. It was definitely there. Like I said, I've got the mark on my arm to prove it.
You're 100%?
Yes, 110%.
Are you able to email us that mark on your arm at all?
If you give me an email link to the show, maybe I could try.
Yeah, so it's Caiman Show 69@gmail.com, or you can send it to us on Twitter at The Caiman Show, or you can post it on our Facebook page, The Caiman Show. Either, whichever's easiest for you.
Right, okay.
Fantastic. So in your mind, before we wrap up, 110% this actually happened. There's no way it was a dream. There's no way it was a blackout. There's no way that it was an effect that the vaccine had on you, perhaps. No, nothing like that. This actually happened.
No, definitely. No, I've had vaccines when I've gone to Tunisia as a child, and I never had anything like this happen to me before, back then or since when I've had the flu jab. This is definitely sort of out this world. Okay, that's fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing it with us. We do appreciate it, Jerry. Again, not your real name. Thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything else you want to say in closing in relation to this matter? Just that I'm a massive fan of the show, so I'm glad to get on you and speak to yourself in person, sir. Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Jerry, not your real name. If you can send a photograph of that in to us by any of the media, which we've just shared with you, that'd be much appreciated and very interesting, I'm sure, for anyone listening to have a look into that.
So before you do wrap up, would you say that there's anything that we got to worry about in relation to this?
I'm not a anti-vaccine person, and I'm not saying it's anything to do with the vaccine, but think twice maybe if you're going to have it, or think twice if you're going to go to Bridgend. Definitely, that's an experience. But just always be aware.
Okay. So we're clearly not saying it's anything to do with the vaccine. No, it's nothing to do with the vaccine, but you think it's more to do with the area, and that particular area of the M4 that you were going through, yeah?
Yeah, could have been the day. There was a lot of sort of cloudy weather with little breaks of sunlight coming through, so I don't know if there was anything to do with that.
Okay, Jerry. Okay, that's great. Well, thank you, Jerry. Thank you very much for coming on and sharing that with us. This is the Caiman Show. Thanks again, Jerry, abducted by aliens. Was he not? We'll leave that with you. Thanks, everybody.
Hi, Mr. Caiman. Yeah, long-time listener, first-time caller. Regarding the question, do I or do I not believe in aliens? Then yes, I would say yes. In December 2017, the New York Times released a statement, and it was from the Naval Intelligence, and it was from also the Pentagon as well. And they had stated they've engaged in an off-world aircraft chase. Now that's coming from the Pentagon and from the Naval Intelligence. So with facts like that, you cannot but 100% believe it. But then again, that's America, isn't it? Is it true?
Right, so here we are. We're on the Caiman Show. I'm here with a good friend of mine, an old friend of mine, a gentleman by the name of Pingu. We're talking about aliens, UFOs, extraterrestrials today. Pingu, I remember the first time I met you. I'm not expecting you to remember. You'll realize why in a moment. I'm not expecting you to remember at all, in fact. The first time I met you, I was out on a Sunday fun day in Merthyr Tydfil with a friend of mine who goes by the name of Terret. We were just wandering over from the Bailey Glass to the Brunswick, where upon entering the Brunswick, we walked up the steps of the back, and there you were, sprawled out, lying on a settee with a pool of dribble coming down your mouth. It was a beautiful moment. I pretty much thought you were from outer space then, man. It was lush. Do you remember?
Probably not that night, but yeah, we do remember Cayman. You know what I mean? As a night out, you'd go to the cooler, you'd have a good time. If you saw Cayman, you know what I mean? 'Cause you're a bit like folklore. Cayman is the wrestler. You know what I mean? like a Greek god. So you know what I mean?
I tell you what.
You'd get drunk, you'd have a dance, and if you were lucky, you'd get Cayman to give you a good slap across the chest.
Yes, the old chops.
The old
chops. James has just joined us, I see. James,
yeah, I can. Us? Yeah, sorry, it took me a while to get on.
Welcome, my man. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. Good to have you on board. We've not kicked off yet. We're just doing introduction. So James, meet Pingu. Pingu, meet James. I don't think Brent is coming. He talks the talk, but I don't think Brent Oakley can walk the walk.
Perhaps I'll have him on again.
Anyway, guys. Well, we'll have him on another time, I'm sure. I'm sure when he hears this, he'll want to defend himself anyway, the jumped up little pipsqueak as he is. Huh? But you guys have never met,
I don't believe so.
Not before, no.
Excellent. Well, I'm sure it's lovely for you both to meet each other, and it's certainly lovely for me to have you both here. We're just going to roll with it. Obviously, we've just heard from a gentleman by the name of Jerry, not his real name. First of all, then, guys, we'll jump in. We'll talk a little bit about Jerry and his claims. What do you make of his claims? James, should we go to you first? What do you make of his claims?
It's hard to say. I mean, when somebody tells a story that's, this sensational, I mean, and
yeah, you want it to be true, don't you?
It's like, obviously, you want to give that person, the correct amount of understanding and credence. But at the same time, I think for a lot of people, this kind of stuff is so beyond the realm of their understanding. It's easy to dismiss these people's claims. And I suppose you met with the old sort of is this person telling the truth? If they're lying, what are their motives? What is their reason for lying? And I suppose you try to weigh up their credibility by just listening to what they're saying and seeing if there's any inconsistencies in their story, that kind of thing. And actually, when you sent me that audio clip, I was out on a walk. I was up the mountain, so I chucked it on, and I was listening to it. And even though it's only a short clip, I felt there was a couple of times. I might be unfair in saying this, but there's a couple of times where like you were sort of suggesting things to him, and then he was sort of going with that, rather than him telling you the detail. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. See, for me, the first thing I thought when that guy got in touch, the first thing I thought was, who are you? How do I know you? And at what point, when we were in a pub one day, are you going to pull this one out of the bag and tell me that you had one over on me? Do you know what I mean? That's what I thought. Because I don't know if I recognized the voice because I recognized the voice, or if I recognized the voice because I was paranoid.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I've ribbed a lot of people. I've pulled the wool over a lot of people's eyes. I've done a lot of pranks in my time. So I don't know. But yeah, all right. Nice one for that, James. Pingu, what about yourself? What did you think of it? Do you think he's legit or what? Because the more I questioned him, the more he seemed to win me over, to be honest. He answered all my questions without pause. Granted, I might have perhaps inadvertently fed him a few lines, but I did try to trip him up, but he didn't seem to trip. What do you think?
Well, there could be two sides to the story. He went to Bridgend to be vaccinated, so he could have very well ended up in my stag. And I deliver up there a lot, and
I got friends in my stag.
I often see a few aliens on my travels up there. But on the other hand, you know what I mean? It could be COVID related. What if COVID is related to aliens? And
that's an interesting theory.
They targeting people who are being vaccinated. You know what I mean? They say someone ate a bat in China. Maybe they ate an alien.
Maybe you never know. You never know.
The truth is out there.
But the truth is out there. Where is it though, and what is it? But all right. So this guy. What are we saying, James? We go back to you. What are you saying? Do you believe him, or do you think he's someone? Do you think he's a phony, or is he legit?
Whenever
he's one of three things, isn't he? He's either a phony, he's either insane, or he's just on the wind up.
Yeah. I think there's a healthy amount of people out there that are looking, for a little bit of attention. I think, but whenever I hear a personal account like this, I think like, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I want to take their story and their point seriously, but with a healthy amount of skepticism as well, I think. And the thing is, when somebody tells you a story like this, and it doesn't really matter if they're anonymous. I mean, it's still hard to sort of sit there and have a conversation with somebody and tell somebody something like this. And I think like, it's hard to lie about something like that, I feel, as well.
Yeah, that's it. Well, I thought, as well, when I was speaking to him, I thought he was answering me too quickly to be a liar. He wasn't stopping to think. I know you said that I may have said a few things which fed him, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But the answers he gave me, I mean, out of a 10-minute conversation with him, you guys, I think you had 3 minutes of it before we went on, right? In the conversation, he said, because I asked him later on in the conversation if he's told anybody about it. If not, why not? He said, well, I've told friends and family, and they were just, don't be so stupid. Yeah, you're having a laugh and that. And I called my doctor. I said, what did he or she say? And they just said, well, you've had the vaccine, just try to relax a bit and everything. So they're not taking it seriously. But he gave me the answers. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. At the same time, though, I'd like to know that, if he was into conspiracy theories before, if he had read anything about, UFO activity or the phenomenon. Because I think sometimes what I find with conspiracy theories is, and, with the whole sort of exopolitics and UFO community, people get into it and they go down a rabbit hole and they just consume so much information, without realizing that 99.9% of information out there is just completely and utterly inaccurate, or outright falsified. So what you're going to realize is that for all of that information, there might be one part in every so many thousand that is actually credible or is actually true. And when you're dealing with that kind of volume of misinformation, it's hard to gauge then. What am I trying to say? It's if you go down that rabbit hole, you might desperately want something to happen to you, or you might be in that sort of frame of mind where you're looking out for these things, hoping that you'll get a glimpse of it, and then something might happen to you because your mind has fabricated it almost. I don't know.
All right. So in short, yes or no? Is he fake?
I'm very much on the fence. I can't say one way or the other. Yeah,
okay.
And I don't want to call the guy a liar either, because
No worries. We don't know who he is. He come on a fake name
anyway,
as well.
That takes. I mean, to even come on and talk about it, I mean, takes some courage. So I don't want to take it.
Yeah. It's pretty, whatever the situation, I think it's pretty cool that he came to me anyway. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
whether he's full of BS or not, Pingu, what about you? What do you think? Do you reckon he's a fake, a phony, or just someone who's lost his mind, or do you reckon he's legit?
Yeah, you know what I mean. It takes some courage to actually ring you up and tell you the story. You know what I mean? So I'm on the fence, and it's as we might go into now, it's all down to like what evidence can you back it up with? You know what I mean?
That's it. Well, he just had a story basically. That's all. I didn't see him. He said as well that I'm not sure if it was in the audio that you heard or if it was later on, that there's one of them grabbed him by the arm and he had like a print on his, which is still there on his arm, and he sent the photograph of it to me on the email account, on the Twitter account it was as well. Yeah, he sent the photo of it, but there's no face in the photo. It's just of the arm, and all he said, his description of it, as you'll hear when you play this back, because it's played before we come live. His description of it: it's not a scar, it's not a burn, it's not a tattoo. 3 of them. It's quite bizarre. Looks scar, the picture he sent, but it's like 5, not necessarily fingers. It's like 5 fingers or a long thumb, or 4 fingers and a long thumb. It's just weird. It is, but I don't know. Is it a picture he's dug out off Google? I don't know, to be honest with you. Giving the guy the benefit of the doubt as well. I'm not calling anyone a liar. I just want to put that out there. But I don't know.
That's very interesting. I'm very keen to see that photograph. And a quick reverse image search will yield, Google results.
Awesome.
If that image is anywhere else on the web, you can find it. So, I mean...
Wicked. All right, I'll send it to you both after this, all right? I'll send it to you both after this.
Lovely.
Brilliant stuff. But all right, so we talked about him, Jerry, not his real name. We've said, yeah. So what are your thoughts, gents? Pingu, we go to you first. What are your thoughts on alien abduction? Does it happen? Has it happened? What do you think?
It's hard to say. But I think it may have happened. But you know what I mean. I think aliens are. You know what I mean? They have visited us, definitely.
Yeah.
And they're here to this day. And they've been here for, you know what I mean, thousands, maybe millions of years.
Go on and elaborate on that for us. Go on.
You know what I mean? Because as we know it, how many years can we go back? You know what I mean? That's all we know is like 4,000 years back. You know what I mean? Or before Christ.
Yeah.
And the Earth has been around a lot longer than that, like.
Definitely,
you know what I mean?
Definitely. Yeah, of course it have. So
maybe they've been here for years, just studying us.
Maybe they're here right now. Maybe we don't belong here. Maybe we're not from here. There's all sorts of theories. Maybe we are the aliens, and Earth was just full of animals. I don't know. I'm just putting that out there.
Well, I read somewhere that you know what I mean? They could use Earth as a prison.
Yeah.
So maybe humans weren't here to begin with.
That's it. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's interesting.
Maybe we were put here, like.
Definitely. Well, not definitely. It's out there for debate, isn't it?
It's 100% for me.
Well, I'm definitely from another planet, you know?
Yeah.
I got papers to prove it. All right, James, what do you reckon? The alien abduction, let's talk about that first. What do you reckon? Do you reckon there's any evidence that has happened?
I think there's anecdotal evidence, yeah, certainly. I mean, you know, there's instances where people claim they've been abducted and they've had regressed memories come to the surface after, you know, intense sessions of hypnosis and things. So, you know, I think there's definitely a case, you know, for it being, you know, a real thing. Extraterrestrials, I think they undoubtedly exist. If you, you know, take the laws of probability and you work out how many life-supporting planets there are likely to be in just our, you know, part of the galaxy, and then there are other galaxies. I mean, there's billions and billions and billions of stars. Each of, you know, there's stars out there that can have planetary systems that, you know, that fall into that sweet zone, as NASA call it, you know, that sweet spot where Earth lies, that, you know, you can have the opportunity for life. And when you consider that there are, you know, tens of thousands, you know, perhaps even millions of planets like ours out there that are able to, you know, support life, I think it's a given that there's life out there in the universe. I suppose it's a question of whether you believe life elsewhere has got so advanced that they are able to cross vast distances and reach our planet. So, I mean, I think it's definitely possible that we're being visited by extraterrestrials. I do see that there is a motive, you know, to, from a government perspective, to cover things up, because let's say you are the United States, you know, military or you know, the military industrial complex, and you have made contact with, you know, intelligent life out there.
Yeah.
I think there is definitely, you know, a lot of reasons why you wouldn't want to disclose that to the general public. Perhaps they think that the general public aren't ready for that information, that they think that, you know, society as it's constructed as, you know, at the moment will, you know, sort of break down, because we are very stuck in our ways. You know, we use, you know, things like money and you know, would they even have money in an advanced civilization? This kind of stuff, you know. And I think that they might be fearful of, you know, of what kind of impact that information would have on society. So, I mean, yeah, I can definitely get on board with the, you know, the plausibility of alien abduction. I think that is something that could definitely be happening. But with, you know, the record of the
Thank you. Okay, are we still on?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, but
yeah, excellent. Sorry, I think we had a little disconnection there for a second. But we're good. We'll just edit that out. That's fine.
Can I add to what James said there, like about you know what I mean? There's got
Please do.
You know what I mean? There's got to be life, you know, beyond our planet.
100%.
You know what I mean? 100%, because like because I've jotted down some figures here, like, so it's government figures, government spending figures, yeah. So in our galaxy alone, you know what I mean, you're talking about 100 billion stars. You know what I mean? And
it's a lot of
stars, as we know, are suns, and suns are planets.
Hell of a
tan, man, tan out. You know what I mean? So you got that's our galaxy alone, just our galaxy. You got 100 billion stars, and in the observable universe that we know, you know what I mean, there's 2 trillion galaxies, and each of them galaxies are holding 100 billion stars. It's just your mind can't fathom it, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, do you know what? When you're talking about those vast numbers, right, the human brain finds it hard to quantify and to understand numbers like that. But somebody said something to me a little while ago, and it just blew my mind. Do you know that 1 million seconds is something like 11 days and some hours? But 1 billion seconds is 32 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when you're thinking about 1 billion stars, that's a fucking massive. Oh, sorry, I don't know if I'm not allowed this way.
We'll let the odd one slip, mate. You're all right. We'll let the odd one slip. Just don't make a habit of it.
Yeah, you know what I'm on about. That's such an a big number. It's hard to actually comprehend it. But that's what we're talking about here. I mean, there are so many opportunities for life just in our galaxy. And I think that God, it'd be very naive to think that there's not life out there.
Yeah, well, why wouldn't there be? Do you know what I mean? Why wouldn't there be? Why would we have the monopoly on Earth? Why would out of all the planets out there, however far and wide it goes, why would we be the only ones living this life, or a life similar, or the only form of it? Bloody hell! Oh, sorry, boys, Mrs. just turned up, topping the wine up for me. God bless. Thank you, Amy. Say hello, Amy. Hello, thank you. Ooh, I thought I was being abducted by aliens. I totally lost my train of thought then. Right. Anyway, so forget about what I was saying because I have no idea what it was now. That totally threw me. But anyway, nevertheless, we were talking alien abductions just prior to it. So obviously Brent Oakley was due to join us. Pingu, do you think the reason he haven't joined us could possibly be because he's been abducted by aliens?
He could have been abducted by the BT hierarchy.
He could well have been.
To do a bit of overtime.
You never can tell. Do you know if aliens abducted Brent Oakley, they'd send him back straight away, wouldn't they? They'd be like, oh, wrong guy, get him back. Get him back in the bag. All right. So, James, we talked before about this when we used to do my Mikey and the Caiman Show, yeah? Me and Mikey Morgan, yeah? We talked before about this. Take me back to the kids finding the matches theory, which you had as well. That was interesting. That was. Pingu, you like this one as well?
So like in the UFO community, they reckon that UFO activity really ramped up just after the Second World War, and obviously not long after the Second World War, in 1947, you had the Roswell crash.
We'll come to that.
Some people say there was a cover-up and what have you, but
I got that down for later, right?
A lot of people think that the reason for the extra activity after the Second World War is because we developed the technology to make atomic weapons, and obviously detonated 2 atomic weapons at the end of the Second World War, and then I think. Well, a lot of people think that we were just largely being ignored as lesser life forms. Those, don't worry about those over there. Not really interested in what we were doing or what have you. But then something of that, magnitude sort of sent ripples throughout the immediate universe. And then all of a sudden, it's like all eyes on us. Like, hang on, what are they doing over there? That was, it was like a landmark moment where. It was like the kids finding the matches kind of thing, It's like discovering something that's, destructive, that they don't quite understand, that has serious repercussions for the immediate environment and, the larger environment. And I think at that point, they started taking a bigger interest in us, thinking, right, okay, well, we need to coach these guys or get involved or what have you, so that they don't wreak havoc. You know what I mean?
Totally. Super interesting theory. Pingu, what do you think of that?
Yeah, well, there's been loads of reported incidents, at military bases and holding these nuclear weapons, and people have been interviewed, like generals have been interviewed about it, like where they've been at this base. They've seen this object on radar, and all of a sudden, all the weapons have been shut down.
Madness.
You know what I mean?
Madness.
And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all proper interviews with legitimate, army people and that. And it's been numerous locations around the world where they're interested in, the nuclear technology.
Yeah, it's mad, right? It's just the more, like I think James was saying earlier, the more you dig into it, the more weird and wonderful it gets. And the more it gets your mind thinking, it kind of stretches your mind, I think, a bit, doesn't it? But I'm just there now asking the question, could we perhaps be the ants in the proverbial school project?
Well, I think I might be. Yeah, I think it's possible. I mean, if you have a look at like in the Bible, right? They talk about the Nephilim and the gods finding the daughters of man attractive, and and people have read into this and said that that this godlike race or whatever, that I'm not really sure of the. I don't quote me on this.
No worries. So we're just three guys having a chat.
The general idea is that that these people back then were sort of documenting what they referred to as gods, but actually they were perhaps extraterrestrials coming down from the skies, and there being some sort of interbreeding going on. And I don't mean like interbreeding like in a sexual way, but perhaps there was some sort of hybrid program going on where they were taking our genetics and splicing it with their genetics or genetics that they've got from other species elsewhere in the galaxy or the universe, and then putting those together and then doing a couple of different versions and then sort of fine-tuning it and tweaking it until they eventually settled on this form that we are now. Do you know what I mean? That's why we've got, other, bipedal, intelligent, primates from before that seem to have disappeared, or like, sort of genetic dead ends and stuff like that. Well, perhaps they were just prior versions, and they just sort of consolidated until they got to this. So it's very possible that that perhaps they've been manipulating us genetically.
Perhaps. Hey, it's out there now, isn't it? There's so many different scenarios that you can run through your brain. There's so many different theories. But that's an interesting one, man. That's cool. Pingu, you were talking earlier on about like military bases now. What's your thoughts on Area 51? Give it to me.
Well, I think like Area 51 itself, I think that's just, all the military technology. But like they got different sites about like do you know about Bob Lazar?
No. I've heard, but no, I've not dug in deep.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Bob
James
Lazar
has. Go on, give it to us quickly for people listening, all right?
So
not everyone
you can
will.
watch the documentary, like, so basically, like, he's, he was building rocket bikes when he was younger and everything. He's really brainy. So, like, he got recruited to work at this site S4. And it's on reverse engineer alien technology. So like he said there was crash craft they were working on, craft that had been buried, like ancient craft that had been around for millions of years, and they're trying to reverse engineer the technology. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And this is back in, I think it was the 80s. So like he got interviewed by I think it was George Knapp in the 80s, you know what I mean? And he told them what went on, what powered, like it was this element 115, and it worked with an antimatter reactor, and that's what powered these craft. You know what I mean? And the things underneath the craft emitted like gravity beams, and that would like send them in what direction they wanted to go.
That's some crazy shizzle, that isn't it?
It is like, but
it's like, and I don't know, how do you fathom
he said
that?
about this element 115 in the 80s, and it weren't a thing. You know what I mean? And then in 2003, it became a thing on Earth, like this element 115.
Crazy.
But
absolutely
you know
nuts.
what I mean? And to this day, he's still being raided by the FBI because they think he's still got this.
Yeah, I think didn't they think? Well, he claimed to have taken a sample of this element 115 from the lab and they had a business, but I think didn't he get like burgled or something in the middle of the night and somehow it went missing? Yeah.
Oh no!
I mean, it was very shady. But yeah, I think his whole story was hinging on this element 115 and him being able to actually produce it, but something happened to the small piece of this element that he had. I think that's what happened.
Yeah. So you're saying he was burgled, or was
he was
burgled?
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, the Bob Lazar story is probably one of the most credible stories out there, because after he stopped working at S4, which is the S4 is I think is a facility south of Area 51, on the south side of what they call Groom Lake, which is a salt flat. The reason they chose that location to build this base is because there's a salt flat there that's perfectly flat, and it's obviously a remote area as well, but they can test fly, secret aircraft there. So I think alongside the extraterrestrial stuff, there's some legitimate military, stealth bombers and top secret aircraft being tested there, reconnaissance aircraft, stuff like this. So you've got a mixture of those two things. But the S4 facility is just a little further down at the bottom of what they call Groom Lake. And that facility is purported to be the facility where they have all this alien technology. But Bob Lazar came up with this story, and it was obviously so fascinating, to everybody. They were trying to find any evidence that they could, to corroborate this story. And they actually found a directory, an employee directory, where everybody's telephone number and address and contact details were listed, and he was actually in that directory. However,
they were trying to erase him.
Yeah, they tried to erase him. I think pretty sure that evidence of his credentials, basically, is the universities that he attended, the schools that he attended. They tried to erase all history of him going to these places and him ever being there, but they couldn't fucking get rid. Couldn't get rid of that. Phone box.
I told you one.
I know. I'm sorry. I don't.
You're passionate,
it's
man.
a miracle
Passionate.
that I've only sworn twice.
That's cool, man. That's cool. We're not going to throw you in jail or nothing,
Yeah,
James.
but obviously, these bloody phone directories are out there in the world, and they can't censor that once they're out in the world. So
Yeah. Well, that's it. Yeah. Wow, fascinating, man. Fascinating. So, moving on then, right? The Dark Knight. Thoughts on the Dark Knight? What's that all about? The satellite? Are you familiar both?
Yeah, but I think it's just space junk. That is like.
Yeah.
Do you think?
I think it's more than likely be space junk. Yeah, I think it's
I'll agree with you both. I think it's space junk which someone has tried to like cash in on and try and make like some sort of theme out of it. You know what I mean? Try and cash in on it and just make it a thing. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, these things come along every so often. Things that are meant to be asteroids, and then somebody says, "Oh, actually, the trajectory that it was on, it moved this way, and that can only happen if it's being controlled intelligently, and all this kind of." And you think like, "Oh God, it's like, where do you even start with that kind of stuff?" I mean. Yeah, you can't prove it for a start. There's absolutely no way of people like us amateurs and what have you being able to prove it. And if NASA ain't talking about it, they're not acknowledging it in any meaningful way, then you're never gonna know.
That's it. But I agree with that. I agree with that.
The proof now, like they're releasing evidence. The government are releasing evidence. Well, it was first Tom DeLonge from Blink 182, like, you know what I mean, on the program Unidentified. Like, there was a case with I think it's the USS Nimitz. You know what I mean? So the military, they had these UFOs on video. Have you seen that, Caiman?
I've seen a few bits and pieces. Yeah, which specific one are you talking about?
Well.
Or is it a specific one, or are you just generalising?
There's the Tic Tac one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've read. I haven't seen it. I've read about that. Yeah.
And there's the smaller craft and the movements of the craft. You know what I mean? it's exactly what Bob Lazar was talking about.
Yeah.
How the craft moves. So now
I'm going to have to delve deeper into Bob Lazar, I think, now after this conversation, gents.
So now you got actual footage, evidence. You know what I mean? And because it was 2020 last year with everything happening, the government were releasing stuff, and nobody was bothered.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What were they releasing stuff just to take a bit of heat off themselves?
Yeah, I think so.
It's like, oh, if we release this, perhaps they leave me the frig alone. Nearly, James, nearly.
Yeah, but these UFOs, like they were, you know what I mean? They saw them hovering over the water. There was a craft under the water with a UFO just on top. You know what I mean? So it makes you think if these things are actually underwater.
I don't know if I've seen this footage, Pingu. Is the Nimitz is aircraft carrier, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and was some of the footage taken by Navy pilots?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen that stuff. Yeah.
That's fascinating, boys. It is absolutely mind blowing. It's brilliant.
You know what I mean? The craft, they saw them coming off radar, and there was, you know what I mean? There was loads of them, and they were dropping down. They were at 80,000 feet, dropping down to sea level in a matter of seconds.
Yeah. So who has released this footage exactly? Who has released this footage?
The US government.
And what have they claimed it to be?
Well, it's the US government releasing the footage, and they're claiming it as UFOs.
Sorry, guys. My daughter.
That's okay. Hey, welcome. I thought an alien had come to join us, and I just heard a high-pitched sound. It was like, oh, crikey, it's getting spooky now, boys.
Yeah, but Cayman, they were on like activities, so training.
Yeah.
And they were following these craft. You know what I mean? And this one went off the video screen. They followed it on radar, then the actual ships. And like a few minutes later, it's traveled so many miles, like, and it's at the coordinates where the actual planes were supposed to be. So you know what I mean?
Mental.
These craft must know everything that's going on.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what I mean?
it. It's spooky, man. It's spooky, isn't
They're
it?
just toying with them.
Yeah. Wow, man. That's I just wish they'd get on with it and just, make the introductions, like, you know what I mean? So let's talk about Roswell then. What's your thoughts on that, James? We'll come to you first.
Well, it's awfully bloody suspicious, isn't it? They released a statement saying that they've downed and captured a flying saucer, and then they retract that completely and say it's a weather balloon. I mean, the two situations are so bloody different. How could you bloody mistake, a flying saucer? And why would you even say that and then retract? It's very suspicious,
Yeah, didn't they say as well initially that there were two life forms found on there as well? One which was dead, and one which was like not quite dead.
Yeah, I think I don't know if it was put into the public domain at the time, but I have viewed the accounts of the actual beings from people who say who claim that they were there and things. I think it's I'm thinking there's a better case for it being true than for it being false. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it.
It could be a case of the government having that technology, trying to fly it and crashing it.
Well, yeah, that's another thing as well.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's another theory. Yeah,
and then covering it up.
But you can't say one thing and then take it back. It's like me. It's like if when I was a kid, if I would run downstairs and said to my father, "F off, F off, F off," and then retract it. I can't retract it. I've done it already. Do you know what I mean? It's there. Yeah. It's there, and it's a big statement.
Out there,
you know
and
what I mean?
you can't.
Yeah. Exactly. It's out there, and you've got to deal with the repercussions. Then you know what I mean. But I think, obviously, I'm not saying obviously. I'm just running a theory here. All right. I'm just thinking, it's happened. It's downed. Some reporters have put it out there in an instant, as one does, wanting to be the first to report on it. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, what are you doing, guys? The powers that be and everything. What are you doing, you freaking idiots? So we got to keep this to ourselves. Yeah. This is sacred information.
Well, I think it's very possible.
We'll say it was a weather balloon.
Yeah, well, I think it's very possible this thing came out of the sky and nobody was expecting it. And, some army or, armed forces personnel was scrambled from wherever the nearest base was to go out and, to see this thing. And it's possible that whoever they sent out there to see it wasn't really their sort of level of access, or they weren't really meant to know about this kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they needed to contain the site as fast as possible and make sure that that it was sealed off from the public. So they sent whoever out from that base that's only 10 miles away, and then those people got there, and obviously it's so bloody out of this world, and they don't know what to make of it. They released statements hastily that have to be retracted later on when the big guns get there, and they turn up and they think, oh, what, and they say, what the hell have we told them that for? And all that kind of stuff, and they have to do damage control then. I think it might have been a little bit of that.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah, definitely.
But I think to this day they're still finding material that they can't explain. It's not of this world.
Yeah.
They're still finding little bits. They know where the crash site was and everything.
Yeah.
And they're still finding these little bits of materials.
Yeah, I've heard about this little bit of squidgy foil or something.
Yeah.
Something,
That's the stuff in it, that metal that they couldn't explain.
That's it.
It doesn't matter how much you squished it or whatever, it would go back to its original form no matter what you did to it.
Crazy stuff.
Well, Tom DeLong and his team, who he works with, they got what they call exotic materials. You know what I mean? And they studied it, and they just can't explain it.
Yeah.
It's madness. I was, before coming on here as well, right? I was talking, obviously, we're talking aliens. So aliens, obviously, from other planets and all that, other galaxies, other solar systems, other universes, whatever. But I was talking to Amy earlier, and I was like, do you know what? There's materials and things out there that there's got to be, beyond our solar system. There's got to be materials out there that we can't explain. We just can't get our heads around. There's probably out there as well. I said, don't know what I said to her. I was right. Think of a colour that doesn't exist from another planet. That's what I said to her then. I said, think of a colour that doesn't exist from another planet. I bet they are out there, though, isn't it? There's probably colours out there and all sorts that we've never, ever seen in our lives, that we can never even imagine until we go there, or until, I don't know, a piece of rock or a piece of material from that planet, which is that colour, lands on our Earth.
Yeah, I don't think we're done adding, elements to the periodic table yet.
So do you, gentlemen, do you think, more stuff is going to be released? Are we any closer to that? At the moment, a lot, in fact, the bulk of it, to be honest, aside from a small portion of what we were just talking about, the bulk of this is definitely kept behind closed doors. Do you think we're getting closer to having any sort of explanation at all?
Yeah, well, I think we are. They're starting to release more and more stuff. But what do the governments want to use this technology for? And it's just war.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, and that's a frightening thing as well, though. That's a really scary thought.
They, you know what I mean? They don't want to use it for our benefit. They want to. If they found alien technology and they knew how to reverse engineer it, the first thing they do, you know what I mean? Do a flyby of China, do a flyby of Russia.
Yeah, that's it.
To show them this, we're in control now.
That's it. Hello, J-Rod. Will you, using this technology, just blow this planet, or blow this country off the planet? Yeah, it's scary. So do you think aliens are potentially a threat to us?
Well, I don't know. There's some outlandish theories out there. I mean, anybody who's listened to David Icke, would know that he thinks that, you know, some of these the alien races have infiltrated pretty much every aspect of, you know, of human life on Earth, and that they're controlling us but to what end, I don't know. I think, to be honest with you, I mean, they're obviously not out to annihilate us, otherwise we'd be gone.
We'd be done by now, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
If they are that intelligent, you know, if they are that much of an intelligent life form, and if they did have a beef with us, I'm sure we'd be crispy beef by now.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, if they are hidden behind the curtain and controlling things, or, you know, having a hand in the way things are being dealt with, then what are their motives? You know, it's anyone's guess, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
totally.
I think they're not a threat. You know what I mean? If they wanted to take over, maybe they have already taken over.
Yeah, maybe
we are the aliens. I think the biggest threat, I know it's off aliens now, is asteroids.
Yeah.
And I don't think we do enough to actually, you know what I mean, something that could wipe out their existence. You know what I mean? We spend how much billions or whatever on like Trident. You know what I mean? Our defense, you know what I mean? There's 20,000 near-Earth asteroids out there that they know of.
Yeah, I mean,
how frightening is that? Like,
it's interesting that you say that, right? Because one of the last things that that Werner von Braun said publicly, I don't know if everybody knows who he is, but he was a Nazi rocket scientist.
Yeah, know of him.
Yeah, he was a very, very, you know, intelligent man. And when the Second World War ended, he was taken to America under what was called Operation Paperclip, where they sort of took the brightest minds from Nazi Germany, you know, pardoned them basically for what they had done, and then put them to work in organizations like NASA and what have you. So he was very instrumental in the space program in the early days, and getting rockets into space and getting men into space, and eventually getting to the moon, etc., which is another topic.
We'll do that one another day if you're up for it, boys. We'll do that one another day.
Yeah,
that's part 2.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Before he divulged. Well, he said that basically that the way he saw it is that there was an end. You know, there was a game being played, and there's always a threat. There's always a reason why we need these weapons. You know, why we need this weapon system, and we need to spend this amount on our military and this, you know, what have you. And there's always a reason, and we've gone from Islamic terrorism being the reason, you know, that we need all this, you know, killing apparatus, and then we've gone to, you know, rogue states like North Korea, Iran, and places like that. But he said that asteroids and foreign, you know, space objects was the next one, right? And they're going to use that excuse now to put weapons into space so that we can protect ourselves from asteroids. And he said the final card after that is the extraterrestrial threat. Once we've got weapons in space and we've weaponized space and we've justified it because we need to protect ourselves from these asteroids, the next reason to have all these weapon systems will be because we need to protect ourselves from extraterrestrials. So it's going that way, isn't it? You know, they are talking about how we can protect ourselves from asteroids now. So, you know, it is sort of coming true.
Do you know what? Without wanting to swear, the way you've just done that now has sent the shivers up me, right? And to the point where I'm actually physically shitting myself. It's like, oh my God, you know, there's so much to think about.
Everybody thought that Trump was a lunatic when he came up with Space Force, but it actually plays into this narrative, doesn't it?
Yeah, I still stand by the fact that Trump is a lunatic, but, you know, I'll give him the benefit of that doubt,
But Cayman, ever since I watched the film Deep Impact, do you know what I mean?
Which one did you watch, by the way?
Which one?
The Hollywood movie or the underground one?
Bit of both. But, you know what I mean? But you know what I mean? You think about your survival is an odd thing to think about. But you think, if an asteroid hit the Earth, what would you do?
Yeah, so it's gonna hurt a lot. It's not like you can just you know swing to the left and avoid it, like I say, you know, sway to the left to avoid.
You're a mate too anyway. So if it's a tidal wave threat, I'd be at the top of Pen y Fan in a scuba suit,
That's right.
duct taped to a boat or something. And if it hit land and there was nuclear winter, we'd be in the Aberdeen Tunnel.
Oh, perfect. There we are.
That's
yeah.
where we'd be living.
I mean, in the little chapel bit halfway through, yeah?
They've been looking
for
the use for that
white
tunnel.
with candles.
Don't worry too much about a Cayman. I got it covered.
You got it covered, brother. Thank you so much. Just remember me, right? Remember me. Yeah. I do worry, Pingu. I do worry. Gents, in closing, then, right? We've near enough done an hour now, right? And there's I'm acutely aware that it's Friday. And I'm acutely aware that Amy is in the room next door and there's wine to be drunk. And I don't want her to drink it all, to be honest, because basically I'm a greedy bastard. But in closing, have either of you had any experiences, in relation to what we're talking about? Have you had any experiences or have you seen anything yourselves? Or are you just theorists in respect to, looking at what's gone on in the big wide world?
I'll start. Well, apart from sleep paralysis, yeah. I don't think I've ever been abducted.
Well, that's good to know. But I did once think you were from another planet, though, Pingu. I gotta say.
Yeah.
But that's me saying, where did I come from?
You can think sleep paralysis. You know what I mean? You could think you're abducted. I have it to this day. You think someone's pulling you out of the bed.
Yeah, I've had that myself.
I'm 36 now, and I'm still in bed like, Mom. And Joe's like, she's punching me. Shut up. and I'm calling for my mother.
Jeez.
But that's me. But some people could think of that as being abducted. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like this Jerry guy. Perhaps he was just having a bit of sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
I'm sure he wasn't. In all respect to Jerry, whoever he is, and whatever his real name is, all right? But perhaps that's what it was. That's another theory. James, what about yourself? Have you had any experiences yourself at all?
No, I've never had any sort of hard evidence of extraterrestrial life.
Would you want to?
Well...
Or would you rather not know and see it on the telly or something?
Well, I think I'd rather governments disclose it and go down that route. Yeah, I don't really want to have an up close and personal experience with one of these things because they've taken me up into some spaceship or something. That's not against my will. I don't want to. No, that's not the way.
It weirded me out. I went to some house parties like that in the 90s. It's like I don't want to do it again.
Yeah. No, but I got to be honest. I mean, like I said, I've seen some things. I have seen some things in the sky. But am I sure that they are of extraterrestrial origin? I'm not sure. I mean, it could have just been a really, really brightly lit satellite or something. But I've seen a few things that I know aren't planes and aren't helicopters or anything. They haven't got the telltale signs. All the lights and what have you. And I see these objects and I think, is that a satellite or is it something else? But no, I haven't really got any hard evidence.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Do you look up a lot though? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I do it all the time. I used to do it a lot more than I do now, but I do. Yeah, I do it occasionally.
Yeah. I used to do it a lot more back in the 90s when I used to take LSD. It was fantastic, and I could see whatever I wanted to then, But that's a 90s story. LSD, that's a whole other show. But
come on, that's what we told me to. Yeah, I'll talk about LSD all day long.
Jump on, man. We can talk about that, definitely. We can talk about that. We can talk about moon landings. There's various other bits and pieces I've done in the past as well, which I love to hate talking about, but past is past, and it's got to be spoken about. It's happened. But, gentlemen, it has been a pleasure. In closing, I will just ask you both, if alien life forms are listening now, Pingu, you first, what would you say to them?
Give it to James first, and then come back to me.
James, ball's been passed over to you. What would you say?
I would say have a word in the ear of governments worldwide and get free energy, on the go, because I think we're destroying this planet with fossil fuels and, needless raping of the natural resource here on this planet.
Happy days. Here. Pingu, thought of anything?
Yeah, I'd say give me the technology so in my summer holidays I could get to Bella Medina in like 10 minutes and not 2 hours.
Perfect.
And that's the technology we want.
Yeah,
it makes sense. Myself, if I could say anything to them now, it's like obviously Brent Oakley was due to join us tonight. Give him back, guys. Don't be that guy. Gentlemen, it's been a genuine pleasure. Enjoy your Friday night. And I'll put this out in now. We'll get back on and talk about some other stuff another time and do a part 2 if you're up for it, guys. Because this is tip of the iceberg sort of shizzle. This is, as far as I'm concerned. If you're up for that, it'd be good. It'd be really good.
Yeah, brilliant.
Definitely, man.
Thanks for having us on.
Fantastic. Hey, thank you for coming on, guys. It's
keep
fantastic.
believing.
Hey, always believe. Always believing. Wicked, right. That's me gone. I'm going to sing a song and drink some wine now, guys. Let's get effed up. Have a good one, gentlemen.
Cheers, Carl.
Bye, man.
Bye-bye.
And that was The Caiman Show. You can find us on Twitter at The Caiman Show. You can find us on Facebook, The Caiman Show. You can email us, caimanshow69@gmail.com. Woohoo!